The senator from Texas.
Madam President, I rise today in opposition to Obamacare. I rise today in an effort to speak for 26 million Texans and for 300 million Americans. All across this country, Americans are suffering because of Obamacare. Obamacare isn't working. And yet, fundamentally, there are politicians in this body who are not listening to the people. They're not listening to the concerns of their constituents. They're not listening to the jobs lost, to the people forced into part-time work, to the people losing their health insurance, to the people who are struggling. A great many Texans, a great many Americans feel that they don't have a voice. And so I hope to play some very small part in helping provide that voice for them. Madam President, I intend to speak in opposition to Obamacare. I intend to speak in support of defunding Obamacare until I am no longer able to stand. To do everything that I can to help Americans stand together and recognize this grand experiment 3.5 years ago is quite simply not working. I want to also say at the outset that I am particularly honored to be standing side by side with my friend and colleague, Senator Mike Lee from Utah. Senator Lee has shown visionary leadership in standing up and taking the mantle of leading the effort to defund Obamacare and to challenge this train wreck of a law. And Senator Lee has been repaid at times with vilification from official Washington. And I will tell you, Madam President, in my judgment, there is no senator in this body, Republican or Democrat, who is more principled, who is more dedicated, who is more fearless and willing to fight for the principles that make this nation great than is Senator Mike Lee. And it is a singular privilege to serve with him and to stand side by side with him and so many others in this body, and even more importantly, so many millions of Americans all across this country. There is a problem in Washington, and the problem is bigger than a continuing resolution. It's bigger than Obamacare. It's even bigger than the budget. The most fundamental problem, the frustration, is that the men and women in Washington aren't listening. If you talk to the man and woman on the street, that's the message you hear over and over again. Why don't they listen to me? Why don't they hear what we have to say? They aren't listening to the millions of people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians across the spectrum, who say our elected officials, they get to Washington and they stop listening to the people. We just had a six-week recess during August, where a substantial percentage of members of Congress chose not to hold town halls during the 6 weeks we had to be back in our home states, not even to give the constituents a chance to say their views. Because it's very easy, when those of us who are in elected office have been here for a long time, to believe Washington knows better, to believe that all the solutions are found in Washington, D.C., and the rest of the country is better, as they say of small children, neither seen but not heard. We need millions of people to get an answer. Millions of people are asking for accountability, for responsibility, for truth from their elected officials, truth about how Obamacare is failing the men and women of America. It is time, Madam President, quite simply, to make D.C. listen. And Madam President, that is a point I intend to make over and over again, because it is fundamentally what we are trying to do. We are trying to gather the American people to make